Hello there, Stevos, and welcome back to Steve's movie wrap-up. I've got 5 movies, brand new ones, to talk about this week. All of them, apart from one, which I think is the one that I'm going to be speaking about right now, is streaming. One of them that I'm talking about next is going to be one that I went to the cinema to go and watch this week. By the way, just want to point it out now, no, I haven't seen Until Dawn. No, I haven't seen The Accountant 2. No, I have not seen Disney's Snow White, the live-action movie. And no, I haven't seen Sinners yet either. Okay? I'm sorry, everyone. But anyway, I will eventually get round to watching those movies. I promise I will. Okay? I promise I will. Actually, there's a couple of movies that I've been holding off and they're still on my watch list to watch at the cinema. And I'm hoping next week I'm going to go and see those films. So we'll see what happens. And you guys will see that in the next episode of the movie wrap-up. But anyway, enough talking from me. Because without further ado, let's see what movies I've been watching this week. You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap-Up, episode 65, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. The first movie we'll be reviewing in this episode is The Amateur. So the first movie I watched this week was The Amateur at the cinema, by the way, which I gave 2.5 stars over on Letterboxd. So I decided to bite the bullet and head off to the cinema to go and watch the latest 20th Century Studio project that is in the form of The Amateur, which does star Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne, and I must say that I did somewhat have a good time with this movie. Spy movies aren't usually my thing. I don't tend to often watch them, like James Bond, for example. I've only seen a select few James Bond movies. As for Mission Impossible, though, I have seen those, and yet you can somewhat class those as spy thrillers in their own unique way, and Rami Malek is no stranger to spy thrillers, having appeared as the villain in the latest James Bond movie titled No Time to Die, which was also the last outing for Daniel Craig's Bond character. But coming back to The Amateur, though, and The Amateur is something we have seen done many times before in films where a relative of the main character / lead character is killed by a group of people, leading to the main character / lead character of the film going out for revenge for killing the said relative. And in this one, we see Malek's main character called Charlie. His wife gets killed. Now, that's not a spoiler by any means because it happens very early on in the movie and it's to do with the plot of the film. So, as mentioned, we see Malek's character Charlie go after the group / organisation who killed his wife, who was working away in London as part of her job. Sadly for Charlie, though, he does somewhat witness his wife's death through the use of surveillance cameras that were on the streets of London where his wife was shot dead. There are times where this movie is slow-paced, so if you're someone who isn't into slow-burn films, then maybe give this one a miss. However, though, I think they do execute the use of slow burn throughout the film in a rather good way. It just builds more tension within the film, which I did enjoy. I also love the fact we did get to have a bit of a character development with Charlie throughout the film running time as well. We got to know the character rather well throughout the running time, rather than knowing everything about the character at the beginning of the film, which, again, I do praise the movie for. Will I see The Amateur again when it hits Disney Plus later this summer? There is a chance I may decide to give this one another watch again later this year, but it all depends whether I'm in the mood to watch a spy thriller. However, though, sometimes I felt as though I was watching a thriller TV series that would be shown on UK TV channel ITV. I do wonder whether this concept was firstly developed as a TV series, but then they developed it into a movie. Very interesting to know. Would I recommend The Amateur to other people? If you're into your spy thriller movies, then sure, I would say give this movie a watch. Rami Malek was rather good in his role, and he did the main lead role justice, I think. The music also fits each scene rather well, and the choreography for some of the fight scenes were also rather decent as well. But The Amateur is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. Ash. The next movie I've seen this week is Ash, which I gave 3 stars over on Letterboxd. Ash is a movie that was recently released over on streaming service Amazon Prime Video. I only found out it was coming to Prime Video here in the UK about a week ago when I was looking at what was coming soon to Prime Video in the UK. But as soon as I knew this movie was soon to be released, I had to add this one to the watch list, particularly as it's classed as a space horror movie. But did Ash deliver the horror? So the film is directed by Flying Lotus. What an odd name for a director, but let's still go with it. Also, I don't think I have seen any other movies directed by Flying Lotus, and I would be shocked if there was a film I have seen before directed by the same director behind this film. I am going to say, though, the only actor I do recognise in this movie is Aaron Paul. The rest of them, I don't believe I have seen them in anything else beforehand. Again, I would be shocked if I have seen any of these actors or actresses in anything else. The film does have a running time of 1 hour and 37 minutes, and I thought the running time was absolutely fine for me. Didn't have too much of a problem with that. And the music scoring, whoever did the music scoring for this movie should be giving themselves a pat on the back or something, because the score behind the film was rather creepy at times and very atmospheric when it needed to be. What I also love about this movie is the fact that it can be very trippy and very flashy as well. And I mean, there are a couple of scenes, for me, which wasn't too good on the eyes, particularly for someone who does suffer with epilepsy, but it's fine though. I didn't end up having a seizure or anything like that, which is good. But this is just a warning though, that there is a lot of flashing lights that go off within the film, particularly halfway and towards the end of the film as well. So that's just a warning / heads up before you go in to watching the film. I will say that yes, seeing some of the space passengers on board the ship all bloody and seeing their dead bodies as well when then the camera does this distortion effect, which does make the scene more scary looking and creepy. I thought that was done rather well, and when the lighting in the film wasn't flickering, then the other use of lighting used in certain scenes were rather satisfying to see. I should also point out that when we see what's outside the ship, visually, the movie becomes absolutely visually stunning at times as well, which again is another positive thing I can add to this review. However, it's not all positive stuff, as I do have a minor issue with the film, and it's more to do with the story / plot. Yes, I do think the dialogue was well written and acted out rather well by the characters involved within the movie. However, I do feel as though there was times where I did get rather confused by the plot, and I felt as though the story wasn't told fully, and at times I felt as though I was just left scratching my head at certain points as well, which is a real shame. I think that's what stopped this from being a really great movie, but the horror in this is really good though. Is Ash a movie I think horror fans, particularly space horror fans, will enjoy? I definitely do think so. Whether you're a fan of sci-fi horror or just the average horror movie, there's something in here that all horror fans will be able to take away from this movie. And is this a movie I can see myself going back to and revisiting again in the future? I think so. I think if I do another rewatch of Ash, maybe the second time around, I won't be left scratching my head at the story / plot, and maybe have way more of a better understanding as to what's going on throughout the entire running time. I will say though, there was times where I felt as though this could have somewhat passed as a movie set within the Alien universe, you know, the Alien franchise, which is done by 20th Century Studios. It did at times have that kind of vibe to it as well. But Ash is now streaming on Prime Video here in the UK.
Havoc.
So the next movie I watched this week was Havoc over on Netflix, which I gave 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. After a drug deal gone wrong, a bruised detective must fight his way through the criminal underworld to rescue a politician's estranged son, unravelling a deep web of corruption and conspiracy that ensnares his entire city. Gareth Evans directed the movie Havoc, which stars Tom Hardy. I don't even know why, but from the moment that I see Tom Hardy appear on screen in this movie, I was also half expecting to see Venom at the side of him. is this a thing going forward now? Like, every movie I see Tom Hardy in, I'll expect to see Venom next to him. Speaking of Venom, I will soon get around to reviewing the third and final Venom film titled The Last Dance, so expect to see that review soon. But in terms of Havoc though, what did I think of the film? Well, it's released now on Netflix, and I was half expecting this to be one of those typical action straight to streaming releases where I would have probably given this a 1-star or 2-star rating, but surprisingly though, I've given it the 3.5-star rating because I think it does deserve it. Tom Hardy in this was absolutely great. I think the way Gareth Evans directed this movie was rather innovative in some ways, because there's a couple of scenes in this that will blow you away. I think so anyways. There's a couple of scenes within the movie, particularly a nightclub scene, and when you watch it for yourselves, you know what scene I'm talking about, and I think the scene in question is absolutely crazy. And then there's another scene that follows up after the nightclub scene, which then becomes even more crazier. It's also like Gareth Evans watched John Wick, saw some of the scenes in that franchise, and just went, okay, well, I can do a lot better than that. The running time for the movie, Havoc, clocks in at 1 hour 47 minutes, and for me, I think the running time was great. It needed to tell the story it needed to tell, and also we see some character development throughout the running time as well, which I thought was good. Didn't at all outstay its welcome. The movie kept me engaged and intrigued throughout the running time as well. And also we do see a lot of violence. It doesn't start properly though until about 1 hour into the movie. But as soon as the violence really does start though, it doesn't stop, and fans of these action films are in for a treat when they see the action kick off on screen. I do like to think that Havoc is bold and brave, and I think that Havoc will definitely be one of those movies where I will definitely revisit and rewatch again sometime in the future. I had a lot of fun with this movie and really did enjoy watching this one. Would I recommend this movie to other people to watch? Whether you're a fan of action or whether you're just looking for something genuinely new to watch on Netflix, then I would recommend watching Havoc. I feel as though there's a lot of ladies out there that swoon over Tom Hardy, so I know they'll probably enjoy watching this movie as it has him in it. Havoc is now streaming worldwide over on Netflix. The Parenting. The next movie I watched was The Parenting, which I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Boyfriends Josh and Rohan plan a weekend getaway to introduce their parents, only to discover that their rental is home to a 400-year-old poltergeist. I had so much fun with this movie, and it knows that despite the fact this is classed as a horror, but it doesn't take itself too seriously, which is why this isn't just classed as a horror movie, but also a comedy movie. And that's the problem. Sometimes when it comes to horror and comedy mixed together, sometimes it doesn't bode well at all, or sometimes they just don't balance it out, or it's not funny and it just becomes tasteless, bland and boring. But with this film, titled The Parenting, I had a lot of fun with this film. I only knew about this film a few weeks ago. I saw a trailer, added it to the watch list, then a few weeks later it released on Now TV here in the UK. So I have decided to give this film a watch, and I am so glad I did. From the very beginning of the film, the opening scene of the film, you can see the comedy shine through, just with little added bits of horror elements here and there to go with it. I have also just found out that this is available to buy and rent on digital platforms, so I can definitely see myself buying and keeping this movie on digital, similar to what I did with another movie I watched earlier this year on Now TV, which was the 4:30 movie. There was a lot of dialogue in here which I did laugh out loud at, and there was some scenes throughout the entire film which again I did laugh out loud at. The running time for the film is clocking in at 90 minutes, so definitely a film that doesn't outstay its welcome at all. I am glad that they kept it nice and short, because I think if it did go on a little bit longer, then maybe the jokes would have started wearing thin a little. one of my favourite horror comedies of the year so far that I definitely would recommend the horror community to go and check out, or people in general who do enjoy their comedy movies to check out as well. But The Parenting is now streaming on Now TV here in the UK and on streaming service Max over in the US. Sneaks. And finally, I have just finished watching the movie Sneaks, which I gave half a star over on Letterboxd. When a designer sneaker unwittingly finds himself lost in New York City, he must dig deep into his soul to rescue his sister and return his rightful owner. Already I'm face palming because of the fact it weren't spelt soul as in like a person's soul, you know, like S-O-U-L, like the soul as in like someone's shoe. Soul, you know, S-O-L-E, you know. Anyway, let me crack on with the rest of this review. Yikes is all I've got to say for this movie. Sneaks is a recently released animated movie that has been released on Now TV over the last few weeks. I remember seeing the trailer for this just days ago. I added this movie to the watch list to watch, and now I have watched it and given it a half a star rating. It's safe to say that I did not enjoy this movie at all, and here's why. The problem is the story. The story just falls completely flat. There's got to be a shoe pun in there somewhere. But the story does fall flat on its feet. There we go. Kinda. And the animation in this movie, don't get me wrong, I love animated movies. I have reviewed loads of animated movies. And I will continue to watch animated movies for the rest of my life because it's important to show the animated industry some love. But as far as the animation goes in this movie though, it was just absolutely terrible and really badly animated, if I'm honest. The other real shame about this movie is the fact that there are some recognisable faces who lend their voices in this animated movie, with stars like Anthony Mackie, Lawrence Fishburne, Chloe Bailey and Martin Lawrence all lending their voices. You can easily tell that this movie was made to be released straight to streaming, which is rather unfortunate. And there's me at the beginning of this week praising a movie titled The Amateur, which starred Lawrence Fishburne in it. But earlier this year, I wasn't so much praising another straight streaming movie starring Anthony Mackie, which was titled Elevation. I just really hope he had a better performance in the new Captain America film, which I will review that as soon as the film does hit Disney Plus later this year. Is Sneaks a movie that I will remember? Sadly, it isn't. Is it a movie that I will go back and revisit and rewatch again? Sadly, it won't be. And is this a movie I can remember? I can recommend families to watch? Sadly, it's not. There's a lot more better animated movies out there than this was. Believe me. Also, I will say that even the jokes, of course, they had almost every joke about shoes that are out there. The very obvious jokes as well. And again, they felt rather flat on their feet. Again, very disappointed in this movie. But Sneaks, for those that do want to check it out though, is now streaming on Now TV here in the UK. I am just absolutely apologetic right now, guys, that I had to end this movie wrap-up episode on a sour note. You know, honestly, I can't believe that Sneaks was a terrible movie, but I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, but that is it for this week's episode of the movie wrap up. Okay, thank you for watching. Can I just say, I've been very terrible with movies lately. Like, honestly, I know that I've just watched about 5 movies this week and I've just given you the reviews of those, but I feel as though there are some weeks and stuff where I'm not watching a lot of films and stuff like that, and I'm trying to get back into that now, where I really do want to sit down and watch these films, you know, like Minecraft movie. I know that I'm not really a Minecraft gamer or anything like that, you know, and I've got no desire to sit down and play Minecraft or anything, and I know that Minecraft movie is a movie that can't be taken too seriously. I wouldn't be able to take it too seriously anyway. But just for the sake of me being a movie critic here on YouTube, you know, I feel as though a Minecraft movie is something I should definitely watch. Until Dawn is another one. Again, I've not really heard a lot of positive things about it. I did see a YouTube movie critic review Until Dawn. They said they had fun with the first half of the movie, but then the second half of the film fell flat for them. So, be interesting to see what my thoughts are on that. And again, it is a new horror movie, so I feel as though I should definitely go and check that one out. Death of a Unicorn, I'm planning to watch later this week, actually. So, hopefully there will be a review of that in my next episode of the movie wrap-up. And the same for Sinners as well. Sinners is another one that I do want to review as well. And Warfare as well. I've heard really good things about Warfare, which is a movie directed by Alex Garland, the same guy that did Civil War last year in 2024. So I do feel as though I should give that one a watch as well at some point, hopefully later this week, and then maybe review it for you guys in the next episode of the movie wrap-up. But we'll see what happens with that. In the meantime, though, a massive thank you for watching this week's episode of the movie wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what movies you guys have been watching this week, whether it's old, new, in cinema, Blu-ray, DVD, streaming, bought on digital platforms. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you are new around here and you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to become a Stevo. I will be back Monday the 28th of April 2025 with your next YouTube video, which will be my weekly vlog. So feel free to check that out then. And of course, your next movie wrap-up will be coming up on Sunday the 4th of May 2025 at 4 PM UK time. That's right, Star Wars Day. And no, I sadly won't be reviewing any Star Wars movies on Star Wars Day, which is a bit of a shame and is kind of a missed opportunity. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Until next time, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching. See you guys again in my next YouTube video.